Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to TalkSports. It is our Saturday sports special. A warm welcome. When I say warm, because I'm in New Orleans, it's a bit warm here in New Orleans. Certainly, I think um, it's always warm in Grenada, and I think it's warming up in Toronto. My co-host Rudy and Sylvan, and our special guest, our minister, long awaited though, and the minister is here. Well, she promised that she will be, and for the past few weeks, just about every weekend, the minister is involved in some activity. So, excuse was granted, but definitely she's on this weekend, and we welcome our Minister of Sports, Honorable Delma Thomas, to our program. As we say, good afternoon to you, Minister.
Good afternoon to you, Michael, and good afternoon to your co-host, and good afternoon to everyone who logged on and looking across
Yes,
Grenada and maybe across the world.
certainly, and quite a bit to talk about the minister. And I know it's exciting times for sports. It's exciting times for your ministry. So especially around this time of the year, with so many activities, sporting activities, and sometimes we have to wonder how you'll be blending the activities of sports and then the activities of youth affairs and sports. But we'll be talking quite a bit on
And you can live out mental health, wellness,
mental.
and religious affairs. It's important in
Right.
all aspects.
Yes, and and especially in this time, the whole issue of mental health. I understand that people are now seeing the whole importance and relevance of mental health and how it ties in just about everything in society.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely there'll be things we'll have to talk about how it correlates. Good afternoon to you, Roger, joining us very early indeed. So, Minister, welcome. First time on the program, but quite a bit to talk about. And I know we wanted to wait in particular for the budget presentation so that you can speak in the context of budgetary allocations as well and all these sort of things. But first off the bat, Minister, what are some of the good news you can probably tell us from good news, good tidings from your ministry?
There's so many good news and good tidings at present. We're talking athletics, but I know you would be proud to hear that Cricket West Indies, the board, they were here last which day? Last Tuesday, I think, and they were very pleased with the state of play at the cricket stadium. Almost completion. They were really happy with the screen. In fact, to quote the Miss Dr. Shallow, it's one of the best screens in the world. And they are impressed with the state of the playing field in terms of preparing. And so we can report that we will have a match come July from Cricket West Indies, but it's going to be more than just a match. It's a match where all children across Grenada will have access, and there will be more than just access, but that will be unveiled when we actually launch that initiative. Also, very soon we will be, as a government, signing an MOU with Cricket West Indies, where we work together to develop the grassroots and other aspects of cricket across our tri-island state. We have, apart from the rehabilitation work at the cricket stadium, we also will be seeing the lighting of the stadium, which will um, happen before the cricket match. But more than just the cricket stadium, you'd appreciate that we have a beautiful facility in St. Andrew. And so, as part of total rehabilitation and development to bring progress back into a state of first class, in our first, we will be also lighting progress back, first class lighting like the cricket stadium. So these are huge. Last Suggest will also see first class lighting. So these are three facilities across Grenada which will have first class lighting, and we want to develop Progress Park so we can have first class games there also. So that those are some of the many initiatives that you would see across Grenada. There will be other development as it relates to our playing facilities, as we really look to put sports at a different level in this period. It's a policy decision by government to give priority to sports across the country.
Mhm. Well, I'm glad you segue into this, the whole aspect of facilities, because I know, well, and Progress Park in particular will be dear to you in that it's your home playing field, as we will say, home meaning that one of the major playing fields in the parish of St. Andrew, and it's considered probably second to the stadium in terms of
Mhm.
that, and certainly with St. Andrews being a sporting parish, as we will say. By the way, Minister, congratulations to St. Andrew. I know somehow Rudy, we can't get away without saying congratulations to St. Andrew in terms of the National Primary School Athletics Championships, right? But
So I too want to say congratulations to the athlete, the young athlete of St.
yeah,
Andrew, who made us so very proud last Wednesday and Thursday. I mean, I want to congratulate all the athletes across Grenada, because while St. Andrew was victorious, we had great participation from St. Patrick, from St. George's. We saw some great one from St. David, St. Mark. We had Carrico and the other parishes in the lineup, and so we want to congratulate them. But we want to say how happy we are as a team. I know if you look at on Facebook, you realize that we were part and parcel of the celebration yesterday. So the entire team was, I think Minister Andrew, David Andrew, and Sister Gloria, they were missing because they had other engagements. But we know that the spirit were with us as we celebrate Team St. Andrew. The truth is, we celebrate all our athletes across Grenada, but there will be a little bias when it comes to the parish. However, when it comes to the entire development of our athletes across Grenada, we celebrate all our athletes.
yeah. So in that context, Minister, even well, we said Progress Park, but we know there are a number of other facilities in the parish of St. Andrew. What it says in terms of ensuring that the development of these facilities to continue that sort of progress being made by the athletes and the sports people in general from the parish.
So, what I want to say to you, that as a St. Andrew team, we are committed and championing the cause. And the truth is, we have the support of our Prime Minister in terms of saying that you will see real development as it relates to Progress Park. So, yes, in our first phase, you'd see the lighting up of the stadium, the park, but the lighting up would not be just of the park that you're seeing, but because we plan to develop the playing field further, then we will light it in a way that when we're ready to do the other developmental projects, it would not be a problem. So in this phase in 2025, you'd see the lighting, you would see an upgraded children playground, and outdoor exercising facility, calisthenics, this calisthenics. It's where we could pull up and push up. There's some simple irons that are placed around the playing field or on the outskirt, that even when you come with your children, you can also do exercise, or you can come on your own and exercise. So that will be part there. There's a other project that we are looking at. I do not want to let the cat out of the bag until we finalize the funding, but we are hoping to do more than just lighting of Progress Park. We are hoping to bring Progress Park similarly to the National Stadium.
Mhm. And for folks who wondering, the minister is a fitness guru, so she knows the terms for the for those various terms being used, okay? Because she is engaged in gym and fitness as well. Minister, while we on facilities, let's talk a bit about the full recreation ground and other major facilities. I know Karaku, for example, after the hurricane, they used the playing field to as a dumping area, but so far we understood that it has been cleared now, and there's some sort of development going on in terms of bringing the playing field back. But let's look at Full and then Karaku in Hillsborough.
So, as it relates to four, we had some delays. There was some work before my time that started, and we saw some delays. So what we saw that McDonald College and some of the other schools who normally had their games at the four playing field, that was not able to happen in 2025. However, they are nearing completion of that project, but it's more than just the playing facility. We have toilet facilities which needed upgraded maybe in excess of 20 years, and that will be done in 2025. We have already completed the brand new roof of the pavilion there, those that can withstand the harsh sea level, because it's close to the sea, so the material that was used will be able to withstand that. And so we look at further development in terms of the sitting arrangement and all that of for playing field in 2025. So we are hoping to deal with the issues that confront for, and because as a government we are committed to provide to dealing with all facilities across Grenada, not only lighting but developing it, because we are looking as it relates to grassroots sport. And if you're lighting playing fields, then we want to be able to have our young people on the playing field at night. And so we are having developing programs that we will unveil as it relates to that.
Okay, so it's good to hear that in terms of that. Karaku, any thing on Karaku, please?
Yes, yes. So Karikou is one of our priority for 2025, appreciating that burial um destructed the destruction of burial created an issue for mostly or all the playing fields in Karikou. And as you alluded to earlier, we had to use one of the sites for dumping. Thank God it's cleared, and now we are looking at rehabilitation and development. So a lot of money is in already in the budget in Karikou, and from our local budget we will assist in ensuring that Lauriston and all the other playing field, including an indoor tennis facility, will be built in Karikou. So a lot will happen in Karikou, and I look forward, as we know, we unveil all those new projects to come and give more details. I do not want to run ahead of the parliamentary representative who's driving the work in Karikou, but I can say to you that a lot will be done. I can say to you that he's always on our backs to ensure that things happen in Karikou. I visited there just before the budget to look at what the things that were needed. And so we will be working along with him and the team from Carrico as we look to develop sporting facilities across Grenada. So not only Carrico, but in every parish, we will be developing sporting facilities based on government's policy agenda in terms of grassroots sports and sports development across the tri-island state.
Okay, before I get Rudian in, let me say good afternoon to Roger and also Roger Duncan. Also, Gordon, thank you very much, Gordon, for being on. Edwin Sam from New Jersey, good afternoon to you, Edwin. And Comrade, he says, greetings, Minister Thomas. And his Regis is saying, good afternoon, Honorable Delma Thomas. Great having you on the program. Thank you for all your hard work thus far. We appreciate you. Thank you very much, Hazel, as well. Minister, let's look at an issue, and before I bring Rudian on, it has to do with talent identification. And you have witnessed, you have been a spectator for most of those sporting activities so far this year. You know, and particularly, let's look at the primary school, for example, and let's look at athletics because we basically in the athletics season, right? And when it comes to talent identification, and I want you to speak from the ministry point of view because I'm certain you would have been impressed with what you have seen, whether it was relay meet with all the 9 and 10-year-olds, with the national championships, St. Andrews, the various parish sports. Now we had the national primary school championships, and of course, coming next week we'll have intercall. But we've seen all these talents. The problem is, Minister, is that sometimes we lose these, talents in the process. And we'll come to TAMCC in a while because that's another issue there. The folks who go to TAMCC and, there's the program. So after they compete for SAS or GBSS or McDonald College, and then they go on to TAMCC. We lose them. But how do we ensure that these folks are not just identified, but their talents are harnessed so that we can see the true potential of them, whether they go into the secondary school or they go into the secondary school and they continue their development and they don't lose interest because of other influences and things like that. How do we ensure that we continue to harness their potential?
So we must appreciate that talent identification is really the first step. And also that over the years, what we had when as it relates to talent identification was really a piecemeal approach. So you identify a talent and then you realize, well, this child could run. So you have schools taking them, clubs taking them in. However, this government is currently in the process of developing a structured national program that not only identify talent, but also ensure ongoing development, support, and assisting those athletes. And just recently, we had a meeting. So this discussion started since last year when I took up as Minister of Sports. This year, about 2 weeks ago, we had a first meeting with my team from the Ministry of Sports, my coordinator, Mr. Cullen, my PS, and with the Prime Minister, looking at generally how do we provide support at the primary level, because we're talking talent identification, but in most of the cases, apart from clubs looking at, there's no structured program before. So there might be some clubs in different parish, and when they see this talent, they try to harness them. But we are looking at structured program that will be able to assist in sports excellence. And so we are looking at as I said, I do not want to give much detail because we have not finalized. We have some work to do from our ministry standpoint. We have some, we have to have another meeting with the Prime Minister and with our team at the ministry. And so those initiatives, sports excellence and all that, will be unveiled as government really look to make sports a priority, appreciating that you can have serious career in sports.
Right, that's good to know. Good afternoon, Coach Dennis Williams. Boy, Coach Dennis Williams, I know the days and the hours are ticking by. Intercall is coming up. Yeah, Intercall coming up. So the folks are there. Kennedy Phillip. Good afternoon to MP Delma Thomas, a hardworking and committed minister who's serious about nation building. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Phillip. Mr. Kennedy Twitch.
Mr. Phillip.
Yeah, Kennedy Twitch.
Good afternoon to Coach Williams.
Yes.
We visit her school 2 days ago, all in preparation. Yes, so the team from St. Andrew, I mean, as a minister of sport, I have responsibility for all schools and all athletes across Grenada. But Michael, you'll appreciate that as a representative in St. Andrew, then I also have a responsibility for the schools. So we as a team in St. Andrew, what we did over the last couple of days is visit the schools, Convent, GCA, Grenville Secondary, and we had SAS yesterday, full of energy. SAS was so packed with energy, and we know that GBSS is also preparing. We have some great athletes in GBSS. We have great athletes in Westerhall because I visited the schools there. I visited the Western Games. I also visited the McDonald College Sports. And, in every secondary school, we saw great athletes. I spent a short time in Convent Sports because I had another engagement. But I look forward to keen rivalry come next week, Wednesday and Thursday. And we know the best school will win. But to me, all the athletes will be winners because remember, they are coming from the different secondary school winners. So whether or not they come first, second, or third, fourth, fifth, they are all winners. And so we wish them all the best.
All right, a trivia minister. So it's actually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So 3 days.
Yes, I made a mistake. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, but let's say you start on Tuesday as the minister. Do you end as another school, SAS or something like that?
Well, I mean, let's see how I end.
All right, Rudian.
The truth is, I will be celebrating some place on Friday.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You start as a minister, you may end as a supporter.
You must end some way. Obviously, that politics is local.
Yeah, William.
Certainly, Ms. Delma, it's a pleasure to have you on. I certainly don't know about you, but I did my due diligence and ask, um, and I made my calls, and I certainly heard good things. And I asked that question about you because um, I wanted to ask you this question that I heard you mention during the budget,
Mm.
and it's been weighing on me for a while. So that's why I really wanted to get it out. You mentioned when you mentioned the full recreation ground, and you say you take full responsibility, and I was kind of confused about that because it wasn't under your leadership at the time. So I just want to know how you're taking full responsibility for something that wasn't under your, because it was a disappointment. I am from St. Patrick's. I am still hurt to see how a stadium of that caliber over the years could be in the state that it is now. So when I hear certain things, it does touch me, and it hurts. I compete there for years, and to see where it is now, it was touching. So when I hear you made that statement, I wanted to ask, why are you taking responsibility for something that have nothing to do with you at the time? Maybe you could have used a better phrase, but you have your reason why. So that's why I wanted to ask that.
Yes, so as leaders, you don't pass the buck. You don't go about the blame game saying, well, it's not you, and trying to throw someone else under the bus. I took responsibility for the ministry, met an issue, and had to deal with it. So I would not go to a budget debate and say, well, it was not me, it was some other minister, and they did not do this, or this was, and go through the details of what happened. As leaders, sometimes we take responsibility and we move on. So I took
Mhm.
responsibility as because I was the minister then. So even though I met an issue there and maybe we could not fix it, we worked on it. We gave it the priority that it deserved. Working, calling as the minister, I took responsibility for it, and I also was calling the Ministry of Works. The PS would say to you that I've called him personally, so my PS would be calling, and then he's hearing the minister calling him every single day leading up, because I really wanted, because I was in communication also with the McDonald College principal, Mr.
Yeah,
Adam. No, Mr.
Andal,
Adam,
yeah.
sorry, Mr.
Mr.
Andal.
Andal.
Yes.
Andal,
Yeah,
yeah.
So I was because we were talking, we were back and forth, and then he said to me, Minister, based on what I'm seeing, yes, they're putting to wet the grass and whatever. I don't believe we'll be ready. So I'm taking the decision today. So we were together at a function in St. Patrick the Sunday, and he said to me the Monday, I'm gonna tell my people we have to move somewhere else, because while they are trying to advance the work, I do not believe it will be good for my athletes. And so we agreed that decision should be taken. And we apologize, because when you're in leadership position, you can't come and blame somebody else. You have to be able
Mhm.
to stand up as a leader, apologize for the issues, and pledge that in going forward that it would not happen, because you there know, so you have a responsibility to ensure that you fix those issues. You can't be playing the blame game and continuously. Yes, you can identify that person was there before. I showed you what me said also, that some of the issues I confront for is over 20 years ago. But
Yeah,
I was also part of the government. So while I was the Minister of Sports, the very fact that I was part of the government before, cabinet and minister's role, this is collective responsibility. So while one minister is in the ministry, is a collective. A minister cannot make decision on his own. I mean, you could, but there will be consequences,
Yeah.
because remember, we are elected. We're not elected to be ministers. We are elected as
to
parliamentary
be parliamentary representative. Yeah.
work, because the prime minister have confidence
Mhm.
in us and give us that particular role. So
Yeah.
based on that, that's what on that ground, I took
Good.
responsibility as the sitting minister to say that we did not get through. The fact is, whether you say who was there before, the truth is McDonald College and the other schools weren't able to have their
Yeah.
sports, and it was a painful thing, unfortunate. And so we apologize to the students of St. Patrick's, I mean, the fans, the people who want to come out in the numbers. I mean, we had some schools having to come to St. Andrew and have sports,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
we are so sorry that happens. But I want to say to you that we are working to ensure that in no area, not Kareku, not St. Andrew, not St. Patrick, no way in our country, because we are giving priority to the facilities. We are working overtime in 2025 and beyond to ensure that we deal with issues that confront sports and all other issues.
Yeah, certainly. That. I mean, I know many people who's listening now. Um, Certainly separate you from many people not now but in the past. That certainly is the answer that as Grenadians, far and near, want to hear. You know, over the years we always hear it's somebody's fault and it's somebody's fault or this party's fault and this part is this. And so this was extraordinary listening to you right now. Like I said, when I ask about you, there was nothing but good things that's coming out that I was told concerning that. Now you mentioned that the government talk about being upfront, no, head straight for sports in Grenada. What changes that you're looking at? You talk about in the school areas and stuff like that. How much? I'm able to tell me in terms of funding, but how much that you guys are looking to truly invest in sports? Because it's a game changer. It does change. It builds a nation. It builds young people. So how much of the time or percent of finances you guys are willing to put out to see to it that sports or young people, come first?
So I would not quote to dollars and cents because we
Yeah.
are part of like developing the programs. So what we said is that you cannot wait until your athletes reach pre-qualifying level or wanting to qualify for the Olympics and then invest in them. We believe as a government that we must invest with them at the grassroots level and at the primary level, because sometimes when we hear about talent identification, we talk about intercall and secondary school. We do not even talk about the primary games that just ended. I mean, this, as I said, principals and individual clubs might be looking at athletes there. But in terms of the ministry and government's policy and strategic direction, we have not seen that in the past. As a government, we are deliberating and putting policy in place that will ensure that at the primary school level, we do not only play games or play some football or give lip service to sports, but we'll provide all the necessary support. And so, as part of the meeting that I spoke to you earlier, where the Prime Minister met with us, met with the coordinator of sports, the permanent secretary, and even the coordinator of youth, and our Senator Francis, we had that meeting. That was one of the key items on the agenda: development of sports at the level of the primary school, at the level of the secondary school, and to identify what are the issues why they are not taught in some schools, and some schools have so many programs. And so we are working now. There's a collaborative effort with the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Youth and Sports, and the entire cabinet support, to the entire government supporting that initiative where we will invest in our young people at the school level and at the grassroots level, at the evening classes where we'll have coaches being there at different playing fields, and we talk about development of the infrastructures. So we'll have lighting of many of our playing fields across the country. We'll be lighting playing fields and dealing with the infrastructure, making sure you have good sitting arrangement, and making sure that we have people who will be present to assist these young talent when identified, or harness new talent, help to develop new talent. So we will be investing a lot in those initiatives. And as I said, Michael, I look forward to other interviews as we finalize those programs, and I'll be able to come back to you to say this is exactly what will happen as it relates to sports at the level of the school and at the level of the grassroots.
Okay, let's get
Certainly,
some.
and that is one more thing. Sorry, that is very good. One of the things too, I really wanted to also ask in terms of when you mentioned identifying. So, are you using to look at people who had the experience in the past, former teachers who is willing to come forward, who have done good things, or people, former coaches, those type of things, people who is willing to come forward and say they're willing to put their hand out and give a hand to help identify or to help in certain areas. Is that the areas you guys looking into as well, or you're just sticking with certain group
No,
of people?
so looking at both. What you said there is
Okay.
something that my Prime Minister has raised, that there are many coaches outside there who retired, who are no longer, in that doing direct, who are willing to come forward. And so we should reach out to them, but we should also have an advertisement asking for, like newly trained coaches across Grenada, because there might be people who went and study, or people who are there outside, they're seeking jobs. And we know that in many of our schools, we do not have coaches. In some instances, we have physical education teachers who are not coaches. And so we are looking to hire some coaches, but we are also looking for volunteers in that regard to assist at the level of the grassroots programs.
Okay.
Thank you.
Haran Photo, good afternoon, Honorable Delma Thomas. Thank you for your timely updates and looking forward to the development of sports across the island. Mr. Chenny Joseph is throwing some questions as usual too. What are some of the new and innovative ideas can we expect from the Minister to grow sports in Grenada, and what will Minister Thomas say is her top 3 priorities for 2025? That's quizzing the minister. She will have to take it up from the top of her head.
So one of our priority is really the cricket stadium and Progress Park. Progress Park is key. The development of grassroots sports across Grenada. The well, not introduction, or maybe there are some schools where you do not have coaches and you do not have really serious sporting activity. You may have some physical education classes, maybe 40 minutes. So that is priority for us as a government. So when it says the minister, as I said earlier, has to be minister in cabinet. So it has to be the collective, our development for sports across Grenada.
Okay. Some more. This one is a big one, Minister. Roger Duncan is saying, Michael, I'm recommending to the minister to erect the aquatic center. Well, speaking about the swimming pool in Palmy, St. John, based on the following. I would love to have the minister's response. 1, the area is geographically centrally located and easily accessible. 2, availability of ample parking for athletes, coaches, and spectators. 3, the location is based in natural light and is visually appealing. And 4, will spread economic activities outside of the capital and foster social inclusion. Minister, speak a bit on that.
Yes, so I could speak on to say, so while I appreciate all that he said there, and correctly so, and if you look at Palmas, it will be St. John's, which is a rural country, but we have already approved the site for the aquatic center, you're talking about the pools, right?
Yeah.
So we already approved that site, and I'm sure in Parliament you would have heard me read out the letter from the association saying that we are already completed in terms of having the finances ready for the pool. As a government, we will be clearing the site shortly, and we will be the one responsible for billing the pool will be done external with some little funding from Grenada. But in terms of building the facilities around the pool, we will start that coming to the end of the year. So the pool will be first, and then we'll also have pavilion, but this will be done close to the national stadium. And I know that many people would say, well, it should have been somewhere else, maybe Progress Park, as Michael, I know you believe that we should have been there also. And I know people have other ideas, but
look, Chenny is saying Bailey's back on it.
But I mean, I understand different people will have different rationale, and I mean, when I looked at Mr. Duncan's rationale, they are excellent rationale, but we already have an approval for where it will be, and we should see work starting there very soon.
Okay. Mr. Kim Fullerton, very outstanding former student of the St. Andrews Anglican Secondary School, represented Grenada, won medals, especially in the throws. He says our talent to success ratio is a big problem. What is being done to take a holistic approach to achieving success? Better facilities, better coaches, better organizations, more competition, sponsorship, college and professional ID camps, training, international exposure. Minister?
So I think earlier on I spoke to the strategic direction we are taking in terms of that. In terms of finances, government has invested quite a lot as it relates to athlete development and sports development in Grenada. We appreciate that more can be done and more will be done in terms of the development of the infrastructure. He spoke about coaches, so we also will be looking at training coaches and looking for avenue where more coaches can be trained. Let me see, what was the other part of the question?
Oh, it has to do with all the issues, really, really.
Idea. I'm not sure I understand what the idea aspect is about.
I think it has to do with probably talent identification as well, and camps and
Oh, yeah.
training, international exposure,
International
all it,
exposure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
sponsorship,
I mean, I can speak in depth. If I go to speak to give you our international exposure, then maybe I'll be just talking out of my head. So I can't say speak to you in depth about the international exposure, but it's something that we can look at. And Mr. Fullerton, maybe we can talk because I know you as a ardent and a very good athlete over the years, and I know that you are involved in coaching and so now.
yeah,
So we can have
that's
the
true.
discussion because I do not
Yeah.
I do not only write on every issue. In fact, I do not know much. I must admit, when it comes to just sporting to sports altogether, I need assistance from those who know more than me. So I will do research and all that. I believe in the exercise aspect as you talk. I mean, exercise is not really sports, playing sports. Exercise is just keeping your body fit and keeping yourself healthy and having a healthier life. But I look forward to working with people like Kim Fullerton and Michael, you too, and Mr. Sylvan and
Yeah.
others. So, I mean, apart from it being on a talk show, how can we collaborate otherwise to
Right.
ensure that you give back to your country and help us in ensuring that we do what is best for the young people across our country?
Right, that's true. So, Kim, Mr. Fullerton, whenever you visit again, you probably can see if you can, make a
No,
appointment with the minister.
he doesn't have to visit. He follow away. He has the number on his WhatsApp.
All right, all right, Kim. So that's the invitation. Um, Shani is saying, I would like to see the government consider an annual national seniors, he says 40 plus parish sports, starting with the top five sporting disciplines football, cricket, netball, basketball, and track and field. This, I believe, will ensure our seniors are still involved in health and wellness, but also display the talents for the younger folks to observe. And Minister, while we're on that, I think it's a nice segue too to the whole issue of,
Wellness.
wellness and mental and all of that, because, once upon a time, the whole issue of wellness and the whole issue of mental was just like an age group. So you believe that mental is just for people probably in their 40s or their 50s or whatever. But you see, it's, even our young folks, you know, um, teenagers, mid, teens, whatever, being affected in terms of mental health. So how can all of that tie in? And I mean, it's a nice marriage in terms of youth and sports as well, okay? Because it involves quite a bit. So speak to that whole issue of how we can ensure that, especially our young folks too, are not victims of the mental health and being more conscious of wellness as well.
So we will tie in our wellness program so that there will be a merger as it relates to our wellness program. And very soon we are launching what we call the Youth and Mental Health Caravan, where we go from parish to parish, providing educational opportunities to not only the young, because not only to the middle age, but everyone, because mental health issues will affect every one of us at some point in our life. It will not be issues where you end up in the mental hospital or having to take medication, but just the very fact that you are human, it means that sometimes, some part of your life, you will have some issues. A family member dead suddenly, or you lose your job, or something like that will create some kind of mental distress. And so we are hoping as a ministry that we can work along with the other ministry like social development to provide the support, to provide the programs, and we'll have our wellness program at the level of the community. So the wellness program will be launched. We'll be using the facilities. So we talk about programs for the children at the school, but there will also be the wellness program at the afternoon session where we'll have people being there providing, talking to people on taking care of your mental health, because if you don't have mental health, then you have no health at all. And so we will be providing all that necessary support and education, because we know in Grenada the whole issue of stigma and discrimination as it relates to mental health. And that's why when some young people have issues, even though you say speak to someone, because of our small nature and people have a way of telling others, people do not trust the system. And so we are hoping to put in place other alternative avenue where young people can reach out. We have a young Grenadian professional from England who volunteered over the last couple of months, and we believe that we want him on board to assist us in that regard. In fact, one of his clients a couple of days ago reached out to me and say, I needed some more session of Mr. Stewart. So we will be engaging him. There are some others in the US and Europe who assisted us with training for our nurses, training for our police officers. We had training for community leaders. We have training for pastors. Those happen in 2024. We are looking to intensify those training as it relates to mental health. So we're looking at the wellness and mental health going hand in hand, also collaborating with youth and sports, because mental health challenges affect or can affect every individual. And so we are not saying, well, because your mother, then you might be that too, or because everybody. So we are providing support for everyone, and we are looking to put this avenue in place, where this platform in place where you do not feel safe to go into a local counselor. Then there are one or two or three or so, maybe even more people who you can reach out to, who you are not seeing. They can meet you on the platform, maybe through Zoom or so, and be able to provide that necessary support.
Good to know. Good to know. Lots of comments coming in for the minister. Karen Batiste, good afternoon to the minister. It's great to hear about the plans to engage the primary schools. We are currently experiencing a situation where demand is more than supply for basketball players, and this is a serious situation. We are missing out on opportunities. Development starts in the primary schools. So it's great to hear about the plans for engaging the primary schools with continuity. Lee Coffey, all great ideas, implementation, and developing a sustainable plan is very important. As you mentioned about hiring coaches, more than 10 years now, I've been trying to get in the system as a coach. Still nothing has been done. Denise she returns to say, one of the first things we need to do is strengthen the clubs. The schools alone cannot do it. The clubs are doing a great job. However, more help is needed. I saw a coach last week coaching about 60 athletes all by himself. The athletes are willing, however, we need more coaches to assist. We can no longer depend on volunteerism. Coaches need to be given a stipend for coaching. In the outer parishes, parents cannot afford to pay for coaching.
So I stick up in before you go to the others, because yes, I think Coach Williams made some valid points there, but I know at the start of the program I did say that we have decided as a government to hire coaches, and so we would have to put out, and I was expecting to see, so I hoping that it's already out, because we gave the mandate to the ministry, to the PS and our coordinator of sports, Mr. Peters, to ensure that is out there, asking coaches to send in their applications, because we are looking, and we appreciate that there is an issue. The issue she identified is an issue that we heard from Anglican High School, we heard from other schools as I go up about the last couple of months, going into different sporting activities and meeting with different teachers and principals across the country. They are saying that we have some challenges. We do not have coaches. We have one physical education teacher. Just a day in the week, I visited one of the secondary school in St. Andrew, and the principal said to us she needed a coach. In fact, she identified someone who just came from studying, who is volunteering in her school, and she wants us to hire. And I did tell her the same thing, that we are in the process of hiring coaches. We are in the process of getting them involved, not only in the schools, but at the level of the community. So that is in the plan, is coming shortly. As that the budget was late and we just implemented the budget, but those new programs will be part of what we do in 2025.
Okay.
But also, if I may ask Michael, just before you go, and I continue on this. So I think a big help would have been the thing we talk about on the show for the past 2 months, is the parish sports councils.
Okay.
And I think they would have been a big help. and there could have been support coming from that process if it was fully in place as it should be. And so where does that lead? Because that would have made a big difference with helping some of the schools based on my understanding of how it should be run.
So the Paris Sports Council, which was launched sometime late last year, we are hoping to ensure that they have, I mean, they are given the mandates, but we know that we also need to hire coordinators at the parish level, which will be able to assist in some of the things that we are identifying here. So we look to, because we already have budget allocation. In fact, we have in excess of $3 million for the Parish Sports Council. So it speaks to priority given to them as an entity from the Ministry of Sports. So we have the budgetary allocation already. We have to get the accountant, which will be able to assist, so they no longer rely on government, but be able to provide to stand on their own. But we must have check and balances, as you'll appreciate. You know, when you have entities and you just give money without no check and balances, then we end up in problems, as we see over the years. So we want to ensure that we do everything correctly. So we are in the process of doing that, and then we, as you say, identifying the coordinators which will assist in that regard at the level of the parish, but putting all the structures in place. So we're in the process. In some cases, in some parts, it's slower than we expect, but we are working. There are many offices already set up with their secretaries. So we have St. David's already set up. We have in St. Andrew, I think St. Patrick. There are a few I visited already. So we will see that, and we are working to ensure, and they will have that role, serious role in that regard.
Okay. Kyron is saying, Michael, you can also let the minister know. I look forward to meeting with her while on island. Pastor Stevenson Warren, good afternoon to you. He says, Minister, my concern goes beyond the importance of coaches, talent identification, grassroots programs, etc. Personal development of our athletes is crucial. It has been an overlooked critical issue for sports persons. I hope we could meet to discuss further.
Mr. Wom, I look forward to that meeting so we can discuss further.
Right. Chetty says, finally, I witnessed the Barbados Secondary Schools football final on the 16 and under 19 last night, which had a nice attendance. Is this something being considered for Grenada in some sporting events, playing under the lights to allow families and working people to attend?
So, well, I cannot say off the bat from where I sit at this present time that we had that in plan. If I say that to you, then I'll just be dishonest. So we have not planned that as a ministry. It's not something that we have discussed, but it's something that we can look into.
Okay, and he's referring to not just football. He's saying, using. I get it from him too. It's like you mentioned a lot about lighting the facilities but I think he wants beyond that utilizing it.
Yeah, so we're not lighting the facilities and just leaving it there. But right. I said to you that it will be a training ground. It will be a place for where families can come together. And I spoke about having the outdoor calisthenics at Progress Park, but it's something we want to duplicate across parishes so that you come there with your children, they can play football, there will be coaches, you can be there with them. And he's correct, we can have other competition under the light, so it's something that we can look into. But I would not sit here and promise everything, and then at the end of the day, because talk could be very cheap. We could just say things, and at the end, I say a lot of things, and then coming at the end of 2025, nothing happens. What I am saying to you is those things that we have as priority as a government that we will be working on to make sure that they happen.
Okay.
But these are good ideas.
All right, and here's to say, many of us would like to help with the development of sports in Grenada. Is there a plan to include those interested in assisting in sports development at home?
So all these things, I know I had some communication from Hazelland on that. So that's, Hawkfield is athletics. There are others who are in football, basketball, and other field. And so, yes, we will be looking at plan and program. We are also looking at like sports ambassadors, where people who perform in sports can be ambassadors, where they can be role models and go to schools and assist our young people who are interested in sports. So we are working on all this program. And I know that Hazelland would have, in her communication with us, spoke about this sports ambassador, so it's not my original idea. When we come forward with it, we started to look at it already. In fact, Afi was one of our first ambassador in terms of the new policy direction.
That's
When
Afi Fletcher.
Fletcher, yeah. And
Yes,
so
okay.
we are looking at others like Lyndon and Kirani and the others, but we have to ensure that we have the policy back and forth, because we've been back and forth in terms of exactly what is expected, exactly what should be done, and how long. Because I think we had some documentation that say 1 year, then they said 2 years. So that we hope to finalize and really have these athletes. They are more than just athletes. They are really truly ambassadors. And we have more than just Lyndon and Anderson and Afi, and we have Hazeland and a lot of other people who are there, who are outside there, who can assist in mentorship with our young people, or young women, or young men. And there are so many young men and women who need this form of mentorship. We have good athletes outside there, but I mean, without discipline, you could only run for a period, and afterwards you'll fall through the cracks. Discipline is a key aspect. So we do look forward to those initiatives being implemented.
Okay. George Gotti Robinson is saying, I like the honest response of the minister to the various comments. Debbie Britton says the Ministry of Sports runs some of the secondary schools sporting disciplines, and not even a tennis ball given to schools to assist with sports. No help at all. So sad. How do we want sports development without any help? Minister, any comment?
Well, the truth about schools, so schools fall under the Ministry of Education, and so whatever the support, the Ministry of Education should collaborate with Ministry of Sports. You see, we can't work in silos. So, I mean, the Ministry of Sports cannot come to the Ministry of Schools and just give balls like that, because the schools fall under the Ministry of Education. So we must combine our efforts in those to get those initiatives really running smoothly. So because we would not know that not a tennis ball is given when we investing millions in sports across Grenada, in sports to the different federations. Sometimes you hear things and you need to dispel some of the myth. I'm not speaking specifically to her. A couple of days ago, I was in a function, and you hear like if government is not doing anything, and so government only waits until the athlete win gold medals and then you show up at the airport, which is not factual. Maybe we are not communicating what we are doing enough, because we do give millions to the federations. There are some federations who do better than others, so government would not have to give them the amount that they're giving. Maybe the athletics federation, for example, we giving the other, because even leading up to the Olympics, we have given hundreds of thousands of dollars to the local organizing committee. And even our individual athletes in preparation, we had Cut Felix, we had Lyndon, we have Anderson, we had the other athletes who took part. The only person who did not receive any assistance from us was Kirani James, and that's because he said, he opted out. I guess he had other support and that. So he was honest enough to say that I do not need that. Assist the other athlete. The gentleman, Dr. James says. So he did say to the minister then and the ministry then, I was not the minister, but I recall that he did not want the support provided to the athletes who need it. And so we gave hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we could have celebrated in style, because we knew that we supported them before, as compared to when you go to functions, you hear, well, we have not done anything, but we run on the airport. And if I get I can outline to you to all the hundreds of thousands we give to the federation, but also to mostly every function that they have. If I look at when the table tennis team going away, when the athletics team is traveling, when we have the swimming team, every trip we provide support to every federation, the basketball, the volleyball. When they are going, they bring their thing, and we provide assistance as a government. We continue. We are preparing for Cariftan. We are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in ensuring that our Cariftan team go to Trinidad. And because as a government, we are committed to that development. Intercol, the sponsor, the principal association, they had some issues in terms of the amount of money they've been getting over the years, and other challenges that I'm not the one to talk about. And as a government, we came forward. We didn't hesitate. They met with me just once. They didn't have to meet with me 2 and 3 times. They met with me once, told me what the issue was, and so I prepared a submission. bring to cabinet, got approval, and we are on board supporting Intercall 2025 with over $300,000, to Intercall, at the most they have received from any sponsor. And we are also looking at other initiative that we will only say on the day of Intercall for our athletes. So we and I mean, this is just the start. We will do more and more as it relates to not only athletes, look at football and all the other sporting and discipline. And as I said, there are some federations that you would appreciate that have getting a lot of funding otherwise. So you would appreciate if you're getting a lot of funding otherwise, then we'll look at those who are not getting and provide more support than what we'll give to you. And that is understandable.
Because I think the ministry might have come in for a little slack when they supported the basketball, and folks were saying, hey, they don't deserve that because they're not doing anything. But I assume in the interest of development and all fairness to others, because you're giving others, and then they say, well, why not? There were those who were saying, hey, they don't deserve it because they're not doing anything, but they run to the ministry.
They run to the ministry. Exactly.
And that's why we provide support, because we believe in the development of our people. So sometimes, yes, you may identify some areas of concern, but we're looking at the bigger picture, which is the development of the holistic development of our young people, of our people as a whole. And so we're providing support. We provided, in fact, I have a whole listing that I will not go through right now of all the support we provided.
Certainly.
This year, we have not turned them down to say, well, we can provide support. Even if we're not giving all, we continue to give for all that came to us. And I mean, I could only speak to the time when I was there, but I know before my time, a lot was done, and a lot will continue to do a lot when it comes to the development of sports, development of young people, and development of our people as a whole.
Okay.
So go ahead. So one of the things that you mentioned that you talk about the Ministry of Sports and the Ministry of Education. So we talk about sports. When we on this show, we talk about sports. At least 60% of the time is school sports. That's most of the sport that's happening in Grenada constantly and continuously, more than the other sports. So we understand that school is not for sports. Sports is not for school. School is basically for education. And also, there's something I always say. I've been a teacher for 15 years. So it's something that we always talk about. It's extra curriculum. Understand? School never designed for sports. However, how do the Ministry of Sports and the Ministry of Education will tie in to work together to further sporting in Grenada? Not necessarily they have to be play at night, because it's a school night, it's a school day. It doesn't. So we have to look at a lot of those things too, on the education part as well and a sporting part. So which part is going to take the higher more than it would be nice to see night, because you're going to have the parents and so forth, but at the same time they are still school kids. So how do you guys working together to see to it that whichever one is more? Because of course, if it's school, education comes first, but when it comes to Ministry of Sports, sports come first.
So the thing about it, so we could debate that school education should come first, and we agree that education is important. But without physical activity at school, you would appreciate that education would be not meaningful, because I mean, with all the issues of childhood illnesses that we're seeing increases in cancers, we're seeing childhood diabetes, we're seeing childhood hypertension and other non-communicable diseases. It speaks to the fact that we have to relook that the issue of just the curriculum that speaks to English, math, language, all the different. I mean, the school become a place where you just add among the subjects, because it's more about getting subjects than a holistic development of the child. So I believe that what we have to look at in our collaboration, and I think the discussion that is already started. In fact, Cabinet would have mandated a committee that involves education and Ministry of Sports, so where we can incorporate sports or physical activities at the school every single day. So yes, you have a whole timetable. We know how important math is, and we know that the issues we have there, we know with Math is for Life, just like English language. So these should be priority for us at this level of the school, especially the primary school. I'm not sure, as a former teacher also, that all the other subjects, apart from maybe civic and maybe science, not all the different sciences at secondary school, whether or not we decide, well, it's one science, math, English, and civic awareness, whether or not we need all the other areas on the curriculum.
Science,
We know for a fact that physical activity is needed on a daily basis. Education on what our children eat and what we provide for them in the schools, these are also very important. We can be giving them chubby and sweets and conkles and lollipops.
Those are the good stuff. These are the good stuff.
What we, I mean, when you ask a child what do they want, and so me and Cricket West Indies had a debate, because I said there's a franchise name I wouldn't call that, the children love that, but I say then we have to look at the health of the children. So if you give them as a treat once in a while, then it's fine. But there are some foods that we these are discussions we must have. So
let me argue. Let me argue for a little bit. I agree with you, but let's go on a little argument. And say that 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it was never like that.
Yes.
There was more healthier. There was more sports happening. There was more community stuff going on. There was more things going on. You could have go to the park. You could have run around. Nowadays, a lot of these parks and them is fenced around. Kids cannot go nowhere. So where did we fail, or where did government fail, or where did the failure come in from the time of myself, even Bascom? And Bascom is long before me. So the time when we used to do these things where we never had these issues with the diabetes and those things. And I know they want to bring the technology, and I honestly don't think it's technology. I just think there is no activities for those kids. That's my personal way. That's what I think it is. Not to do with technology. How do you guys? And again, I love this the parish council. I can't wait for it to happen. I think that's where the big change comes in. But yet again, we're gonna constantly saying it's not there yet. We're not seeing anything happening, and it's becoming a more to some people more of a disappointment. More and more I talk to people, they get more disappointed. Even though because they're not hearing what's going on about it. They're not hearing nothing. So this is some of the things.
So maybe we need to talk more of what is happening there.
Yes.
Because yes, I agree that there are some delays, and I alluded to one this morning, earlier on, that we asked the head to ensure that we finalize with the auditor, not the auditor, but the accountant.
The accountant, yes.
There are some other areas that need to finalize, but we are closer than you think in terms of implementing. We want to ensure, as I said earlier, that we do all our checks and balances. We make sure that when we implement what we have is not a body on its own doing what it wants and trying to rip off. One of the things we see over the years, we put some bodies in place, and then they start to charge people for coming in and charge children and charge. So we do not want that. We want to ensure that whatever we finalize will be for the benefit of the people, not benefit for the sports council. Because the sports council's main objective is to serve in different communities, the grassroots and other levels as it relates to the development of sports. So whenever we finalize, which will be soon, and sooner than you're thinking, and I hear you say maybe we are not speaking up enough. So we launched last year and we have not said to the public that's where we are, and this is what's keeping us back, because we have to make sure we get certain things we saw coming. We had some concerns and all that, so we wanted to make sure we get it right before we say to go. But we already budgeted and have the monies available for the council, so it speaks to the priority that we are giving to the council. And as I said, Mr. Sylvan, soon we will be a happy man.
Certainly, when the government, or the prime minister and the team sit down, when you talk about sport, is it an idea you guys are seeing from other islands? We always talk about Intercol and excluding Jamaica. Intercol in the Caribbean is Grenada is next in terms of the performance, to see the support, and the way it's been done, especially now. Now, in this era, I'm putting us before Jamaica this year for the things that they're doing with Intercar, with the torch and stuff like that. We don't see that nowhere else more than in the Olympics and other places. So that is, we take another level over Jamaica in terms of how we prepare ourselves, not necessarily meaning performance. But is it something that you guys see other islands is doing, or is it something new? As you know, we are part of the Caribbean. Other islands will see. Okay, Grenada is starting to do this. Maybe it's time for us to do something. It is something where Grenada is looking to start saying we need to be the
Leader.
leader now, the leader in sports in the Caribbean or in the OECS moving forward. Is that the direction the government or the Prime Minister is looking to have?
Yeah, so we want to be we taking the lead. So based on what you saw happen as it relates to the torch, I mean, as you say, this is the highest level you normally see. You see that. So we are taking the lead as it relates to sports, and there are some initiatives that happens in other countries that we can follow, but we want to be able to lead by example in many initiatives. And so I put
Okay.
priority and I mean, as you say, in the investment in sports, so that we can assist our people to have a career in sports. So it's more than just, sometimes you have children who can run well, but because you have not harnessed them, you have not provided them with that necessary support, many of them fall through the cracks. We want to ensure that that is a thing of the past as we move forward.
Some comments coming in, Minister. National Training Center is needed that can facilitate multiple sports, equipped with weight room, training room for recovery, classroom, overnight stay abilities. Let me get some, try to get as much comments now. What plans for masters athletes outside of Grenada and developing masters track and field in Grenada? Mr. Robinson, what will be the qualification to be employed by the ministry as a coach? Um, Sebastian Steele is saying, good day, Minister. It's a positive to have coaches and sports coaching at the primary school. It will be good also to strengthen the clubs and get all sporting disciplines introduced with trained, qualified coaches. It's also wise to give stronger support to the national federations in getting those who are non-functional functioning to optimal capacity to ensure a closer collaboration with athletes development. That's something we have been speaking a lot about. And Melissa St. Rose said, good to see the minister on. Honorable Ron Redhead, keep up the good work, Minister. That's the former sports minister himself. Melissa said, I am concerned about the development of lawn tennis in Grenada. Where is the association? Is there one? We'll probably find it from you, St. Rose. Jenny say, I would like to know if the sports symposium is on the agenda of the Ministry of Sports in 2025. There are many of us who have ideas but have been sidelined for reasons unknown. I trust that the expertise of those persons will be embraced one day in Grenada. Sorry if I have been too candid in this statement. Minister,
No, well, Mr.
yes.
Joseph can be as candid as he wants. But I'm not sure who sidelined him, but I am open.
Yeah.
I know that he have been sending me stuff, and I know that he sees some of the things are being implemented. So we can have discussions. We are
Yeah,
open
but
to discussions and new ideas and all that. So whether you have been sidelined by someone or I don't know who that is, but I know for a fact it's not me.
It's not
well,
you.
and Jenny, and I'm certain after listening to the minister and answering Rudian's question about why take the blame, and she says, "Hey,
Yeah.
I'm the minister. I have to take the blame. I have to apologize. I think you can't expect more from the minister in terms of that. But minister,
Yeah.
issue of a sports symposium, something we have been discussing. The idea is that something that can probably through the Ministry of Sports. Well, we had put it out there, but we said probably the ministry can facilitate, can spearhead it, getting all these folks and main stakeholders together and to sit down and to come up with ideas and and ways on which these various stakeholders can work along with government and sponsors, etc., etc. That is the sports symposium speaking for about 2 years now, Chenny. Yeah, something that I assume people like Chenny and especially in Grenada, Chenny and Roger and others who are in Grenada can speak more about, and something we're hoping that in 2025 we can get a full symposiums. Yes.
So it's something I just sent it to my director of my coordinator of sports symposium. So it's something we could discuss and see which part of our calendar we can put it on, because if we're talking prioritizing sports, we are not authority on all the issues that it relates to sports. We can do all the research we want, but there are people
Yep.
who are experts in the different fields who can provide us with the expertise. And so if we can come together in a forum where we can discuss and come up with a white paper or so, then that will be so very important, So I so that is a discussion I can have with the coordinator and the permanent secretary and see at what point within our calendar we can have that in 2025. So I'm not promising that it's going to happen right away, but I'm saying that, and we'll get back to you all, because even if you all, maybe you might be here a particular time and we may say, well, because a few of you will be here at that time, it might be a good time to say sometime before Carnival or sometime after Carnival. It just depends. Sometimes Carnival have a different mood of its own when it comes to when Michael and his family comes for Carnival, they may not even want to talk sports. So we have to decide as we move forward what's the best. But it's, on a serious note, it's something that is important based on the priority we are given to sports. And so if we want all those with the expertise in different fields to be on board and to provide us with those ideas that we can use for our strategy in going forward.
Yeah. Sebastian said the sport of boxing has proven to help curb violence in communities. Minister, the boxing community has been without a home since the passage of Hurricane Ivan. The boxing community is in dire need of training facilities to better administrate the development of boxing among the talented boxers across Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. So that's boxing making a claim. Chenny says, well done to the government on the assistance with the intercall, a first of its kind, which should be annual. Minister, so and that's a good point to me, regarding the assistance government.
So I want to chip in on when he said that is a first of this kind, first of the amount, not
the amount.
Not first of the kind. No.
Oh, because National Lottery would have been supported
in the call over the years. I mean, it's the biggest support, and they have received, and we agree that as a government we need to provide the support. As we can't wait, as we said every time, to support when they reach at the Olympic level. We must start at not even the secondary, even at the level of the primary school. So this year we gave some assistance to the primary school also. But I mean, whether or not it's what we should give is the next question. So yes, we were able to give some assistance, but these are the areas we have to look at, because we know that sports do not start in the secondary school. You do not have athletes performing well at only the secondary and beyond. We've seen we saw Richardson, what's his first name? Richardson, an excellent primary school athlete.
Yes. Yes, I tried to remember his name. I think he was the most outstanding athlete. From Richardson is the name I kept hearing. Yeah,
and all these things are so near and dear to my heart, because most of the athletes that perform extremely well came from my constituency. Some of, including Richardson, we have even Christophe Callis. So the truth is, when people, as politicians, we are policy makers, and so our role must be to represent all our people. And so those issues of sports that we're speaking about, we must look at ways and means in which we can provide all the necessary support so that we can develop our people around the way. So yes, we're talking sports now, and we have Christoph and the others. How can we assist them to reach the high side? There are other fields in academia and otherwise. How can we assist, our people within our constituency? And I mean, we're not talking constituency because I'm talking as the Minister of Sports, and so I'm responsible for every young person, every sporting federation also across Grenada. But I'm saying, as a politician, you first represent the constituency, and so from the MP level, I think we also have responsibilities in terms of providing some support. And the government as a whole will provide the bigger support, but we have also that responsibility to provide support.
When you talk about support, when you talk about support, what
just to
type of
let you know
support you
that
talking about?
um,
So
I will just let you know that Mr. Peter
my
did say that.
coordinator is taking
Yeah, he's
notes.
taking
So
notes.
apart
So
from me
yeah.
sending him a WhatsApp message, taking notes.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I say support, for example, there might be a child in your area who's running well. They need running shoes. Those small things, not those big things that
Mm-hmm.
you hope on the
Mm-hmm.
national level. They need spikes. So
Yeah.
from St. Andrew's standpoint, last year, Michael, remember last year?
Yeah.
Last year we sat and we saw the entire St. Andrew team running in and winning big without a spikes, not one spike. And over the years that has been the case. That we have them
Mm-hmm.
running with a
So,
Yep.
beard
so,
on the ground.
so, I,
And
so I want you to share the story, Minister, about this year now.
why you want me? No, well, right now you're exposing me because remember he has Minister Sports not as a parliamentary representative.
Well, no, you have
This
to.
year, I started to say, well, first of all, I'm elected as the MP for St. Andrew Northwest. So what I did was to go to every school within my constituency and seek donation for spikes for them. So I started at the school level. So I had 3 schools in my constituency: Paraclete Government, St. Mary's RC School. By the way, St. Mary's RC School won the St. Andrew Championship this year. So this is a little school in the community who beat all the bigger schools in the parish. So St. Mary's and Paraclete Government. So I gave the schools in my constituency spikes. But I did not leave it like that. So what we did though, as a team in St. Andrew, we said, we do not want, we had the discussion back and forth. And so we seek additional sponsors. And so while I'm the flag bearer, I'm the person in the front who's giving the spikes, it was sponsored by someone,
Okay.
and the chief of staff, prime minister's chief of staff, is from the parish, and I know sometimes we discuss how can we work together to develop St. Andrew, because you can't have the minister of sports of St. Andrew and all the development is happening outside of St. Andrew. You'll appreciate that's a reason to vote me out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we provided in excess about 56 spikes for St. Andrew for the parish. So apart from the schools, the spike I gave the 3 schools in my constituency. We provided 56 for the parish, and we are looking to add to the numbers in 2026. But more than that, we already started to look for sponsorship for new training uniforms and also uniform for 2026 athletics games for St. Andrew. And it's something that can happen across Grenada. So yes,
Right.
I'm talking as a parliamentary representative and somebody who lives in St. Andrew. So this is not a ministry initiative. But from the ministry standpoint, we cannot talk development without looking at the smaller children and providing them with those support. So these are some things that we will provide assistance. And the truth is, across parishes. So while we talk about St. Andrew, across parishes, I've been to with St. David's with Prime Minister, where he give football boots, where he give balls, where he's high on sports. So he's looking at the development of sports across the parish. Then you have in St. Patrick, I know that they are also providing support to the intercol teams and at different levels when different clubs come forward. So there are support being provided in every constituency as we speak. In fact, there's a fund that can provide medals and other assistance for schools and community groups and all that. So these are being used and across. Sometimes you hear, well, there's a sporting activity somewhere, and you hear different like ministers' names that are being called. But I am a Grenada, which is a statutory body of government, is also very involved in sports. So we have the National Lottery Authority, who provides for sports culture and general nation building. We have IMA, who is now emerging in providing really good support as it relates to sports development. And we have the government who's committed to providing support for athletes. So I believe that we are in a good place as it relates to sports development. But as we say, we need people like Mr. Rudian Sylvan
I know that.
and Mr. Michael Bastrop
But
and Mr. Hazeland and Kirani and all the others who been there. There are a lot of other coaches who are there also who can come to the fore and provide us with all the necessary support. And support does not to be, material things, but advice and how we can move forward to develop the holistic child, the holistic young man and women across Grenada.
Yeah,
So I
but
want to ask you a question that you may not have an answer for, but hoping that you will look into it. So how does the Ministry of Education come in terms of support now? But there's a school stuff. Shouldn't there be the support coming from them as well to actually do something for those schools? Or if you don't know, maybe there is, maybe
So I would not speak. I will be speaking out of
yeah,
information I do not have at this time.
yeah.
So I cannot speak to say for a fact I know what budgetary allocation and what is given to them from the ministry. I know from the Ministry of Sports we do give from time to time, but there need to be a
Yeah.
structured approach in how you provide support as it relates to
Yes.
Dr. Sports here. So
Yeah.
how we
Yeah.
provide support, there must be a structured approach to that.
Yeah.
So these are things I think in our discussions over the next couple of weeks in terms of the committee that was
You don't have. Yeah.
education and us and all that we can discuss and be able to
I think I need to
yeah.
I think I need to be a part of that discussion.
Folks, and
think-
for those of you who are looking on at the primary school sports, you would have seen some of the kids running
Yeah.
without the shoes. But
Yeah.
the minister and I, we were speaking about it earlier in the week, is that they have it. Some of them do have, but
not comfortable yet.
they're not comfortable, running with those things. So probably after a period of time, they will get comfortable.
And also, to tell you the truth, sometimes even being out here in Canada, some of those shoes is really hard to find. And the plus I'm seeing, like even with Grenada and trying to see those kids get spikes or at least some sort of running shoes. Some of the schools here in Canada don't have that advantage. The elementary school kids are not allowed to run in spikes. Because they look at it as a safety thing.
Yeah, because
yeah. So and even though some of them is in a club, some of the kids are in clubs. Not all the kids are in clubs.
Mm-hmm.
So they also look at that. But it's really good to see them have some sort of something in their foot, even if it's a running shoes or something. It certainly will be something good to see. Yeah, because I know the field is very hot. The track is hot. It's very hot. So it certainly is discomfort for them as well.
Mr. Chetty, the minister, and coming in there. Robinson was speaking. Transparency demanded from organizations when they provided support. He's saying it should be demanded when the government gives financial or any other support to any organization. So he's saying that should be demanded. I assume in some way or the other they should. The school coaches in school needed. The question is, should it be the school or the government to provide? Should it be the school or the government to provide?
So the government should provide. What we saw, in fact, there's one coach that I know from the top of my head who's excellent in all the field, who is being hired by the school, and so we believe that we have a commitment to ensure that we take over that role, as instead of having the school take that particular role, because this is a first class coach we have at maybe who can provide even more than just in the school, because we're talking about grassroots in the afternoon. So if you could remunerate them properly, then they will not only stay to the school 8 to 4, 8 to 2:30, but it may be, and even beyond that, but even assist in the community. So it's part of our agenda. When I said earlier, as it relates to coach, because we identify that there are coaches outside there who are assisting in schools, whose schools are paying, and in some instances, school has to raise funds to pay them. They have no means of making money otherwise. For school to have money, they have to have a fair, they have to have selling the talk shop or so. So when school go on holiday, then you have an issue there. School go on holiday, the teachers who are paid by government get their pay, but the coach who is paid by the school will not get pay maybe 2 weeks in July and in August. That we have to be able to deal with.
Yes.
No, certainly, and there's also a safety thing as well. And I think that, I've said it before, that Ministry of Sports should have their own coaching level. You personally, Grenada, Ministry of Sports should have their own, if it's a level 1 coaching level, of the things that you may want to see. Not about on the other levels, but things that you may want, because it is a safety thing in schools having, anybody coming in without one having a police check, without all those things. These are things that are very important. And so not just, yes, the person is good and going to hire them. It shouldn't be that way. It should be coming from certainly from you guys. And then even giving the, it's maybe start with you guys and give the recommendation. This person have been cleared. This person have been cleared, and so something like that. I think it should be something in that manner.
I'm
in that
certain
way.
that the minister and in terms of the application, when the applications are out and the requirements that will be needed, they will have certain recommendations.
Because I understand. But I also think that in Grenada standards should have their own coaching levels. Anybody who wants to be a coach should at least take that course or that class to be a one-day class, and whoever you guys want to bring in for whichever sport should be something that come under you guys, because the things that you may do in Grenada, it may not be the same as in another country or in World Athletics or in FIFA. It may not absolutely be the same because the levels are different. So I think it's something that you guys should have, where coaches who are interested, even if it's a seminar, if it's something like that, but it should come to a something thing of expectation, what you guys expect from coaches across the board, and it's something that I think you guys should have prior to hiring anybody.
Sebastian says, Minister, indoor sports and facilities should be a priority. Of many of our sporting disciplines are without adequate facility for training. The investment with coaches goes in hand with facilities. A strong investment will pay dividends that will get our athletes prepared for the regional and sub-regional level. And then Minister Melissa says, thanks to the minister and the other donors who contributed to the branches of the duty and the athletes as they participated in the recent sports. And there's one other thing, Minister, I know you will laugh now. Lincoln Toro Deputy said, is Minister Thomas going to hand over the Intercol trophy to the winning school? If so, she can make an early delivery as early as Monday to the GBSS.
This one. Because Lincoln knows for that the trophy will be going somewhere else, but let's wait and see. The defining factor. Wednesday and Thursday we'll have keen athletics from GBSS, from SAS, from McDonald College, from all the schools, but the best team will win.
All right. So we had the principal of SAS last week, who, by the way, was the chairman of the GAP, and he was trying to get her to commit, to say something out of the ordinary, but she kept her cool. She kept her cool. And she said, these are the top three schools. These are the top three schools of the boys. These are the top three schools of the girls. But I guess as much we know where she's coming from in terms of that. I hope you can the day after. Just remember the code is blue. Rabia Street will be live. So Toro, that's how it goes. Toro, she can drop off a fake trophy in the meantime. Yeah, but
but as you go on, the Facebook and the rivalry and the friendly ones, not those
the friendly ones.
Athletes that it's something I always look forward to. And though the minister of sports, I still find a way to go under somebody post and say that celebrating. So it's just. It's not a case that yes, you from St. Andrew and you're backing, you will prefer your school win, but what we really backing is our athletes across Grenada. So yes, I'll be rooting for SAS. That goes without saying. Even if you may say, well, you bias and you're not supposed to take sides and whatever. But when it comes, we have great athletes coming from the GBSS, and we can celebrate all our athletes. But at the end of the day, I say the best team win. I look forward to celebrating in St. Andrew.
Yeah, because we had that situation last year when you support your school, blah blah blah. But then about a week or 2 weeks after, you were supporting Grenada at Carifta Games.
At the games,
right?
yeah.
And
that's what it should be. It shouldn't be any kind of. Life is too short for us to take everything so serious. We could make joke. The truth is, we're not going to come out here alive. So the truth is, we can we could support the different schools, support good athletics, discipline, and be able to talk to all our athletes across Grenada and encourage them to do their best, because these are our children, whether they're in GBSS, PBC, McDonald College, SAS, Grenville Secondary Convent, wherever they are. They are our children, they are athletes, and so they need our motivation, they need our mentorship, and so we'll continue to encourage them, continue to support them. But when we come from a different parish, you'll expect us to be a little bit more energy there.
All right. So as he used to say, well, Minister, just get a T-shirt with all the school colors.
A few people called me this morning. I get a message, a mentor of mine telling me that she looked at me in the primary school sport and I had on blue. And it should be told, while the jersey had blue, it was the duty that gave me that jersey. So I was doing jersey, but in the mind's head, they think that I'm so I had on a blue pants to match the jersey. One would expect that magic clothes. I kept putting that green with blue.
Exactly, you have to match.
A little bit about home now in your constituency. Are you having the activity in Paraclete this year?
In Moncton. Oh yes,
Moncton. Sorry.
Oh
Moncton.
yes.
So speak a bit about it.
Yeah, so we are preparing for Moncton Sports. This year will be our 24th year. It's a sports that comes. It's similar to Intercol Rally. Am I correct?
Yes.
Intercol Rally. So when it comes to parish community sports on Good Friday, Moncton is the place to be, where we involve in keen rivalry among the different. Well, let me see, because Moncton is the village, but there's a difference. So, for example, where I live down here, we wear yellow, and there's rows higher up the road will be rows, and we have Jamanica. So we have 4 different areas within the same village that compete against each other. So normally I'm supposed to wear yellow, but I think I already have a white and black Adidas top to wear for that because I'm supporting Team Moncton. And just maybe if I feel fit enough, I'll partake in one of the races.
Right. So, folks, just to let you know, it's Good Friday, right? It's at
Moncton playing field. We have lights.
Right. And, folks, one of the things that you have to be prepared for, surprisingly, there's traffic jam.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a traffic jam getting in there. So you have to try to get there early. And it's lots of excitement. Is family oriented. So you have lots of eat, you have lots of drinks, you have music, and you have lots of entertainment in terms of the activities. And just about everyone, young and old, participate. They come out and participate.
The whole village is out at that time. That time we put everything aside and we come together as a village and support. Michael, I know you came last year and supported us, and we thank you for that.
Well, I was part of a delegation because we had Ulrich Schoon and
there was a huge
guys.
athletics from around Grenada, St. Andrew. You all came up there in your numbers and supported us, and we were really pleased for that. So next time you're around the time we give you an invitation to come again.
Right. Yeah.
And I remember you provided some sponsorship last year.
Sponsorship, yes, certainly. So, folks, the sponsorship is still around. So I'll talk to you later on, Minister. Yes, but definitely. So it's Moncton, and it has been going. By the way, there was a program as well, right? So it's so organized. Right?
It's not just that day. They had last week they had Tanya Log. Then there's a week before they have Oil Down. They have a road relay. They have some community initiative every weekend leading up to the sports. They get involved. There's a motorcade coming up leading up to the week before the sports. So it's a whole community engagement, and the community group, which is Moncton Progressive Organization, not just around Good Friday and sports. They're involved in many other activities in the community, bringing young people together, having quizzes, debates, mentorships, and all that. And so we look forward, to that celebration on Good Friday. But it's more than just sports on Good Friday.
Yes. So and it's something I remember last year. I put a post about it. I say something I want to see other communities can emulate because they have been going 20-something years now.
Yeah, this year is 24. Next year will be a big 25th.
25th, yeah. And every year it's bigger and better. And it's somewhere where on that day in particular, the entire community comes out, and whatever problems they had in the past, you will never know about that because everyone comes out the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever it is, and they just have fun. And
What
I'm
divides
telling
us
you,
in Grenada is politics, and on
yeah,
that day we have no
no
politics.
politics. Yeah,
So
everyone just
more
come
like
out.
that. If we could
Yeah.
have that every day, then it'll be
Mm.
good for our people.
Yeah, and it's something where I'm hoping that other communities can have because
Yeah.
and by the way, you see some of the minister spoke about some of the athletes and things from the primary schools. That's the way you get to see them, competing, especially in the relays, and then you have the ladies having fun because they form relay teams, and the men they form relay teams. I mean, it's just excitement. We enjoyed ourselves there. Had my
Yes.
entire family up there, and
Mhm.
and things like that. So lots of things to eat and drink. But I tell you, if you're driving up there, try to be there early because there's traffic jam.
Yes, that's a pack your vehicle
You
quite
have to
quite
park
enough
your
for
vehicle
long walking.
and then walk, because so many people there. So look forward to that. Bonton, Good Friday. Minister, as we get ready to wrap up, any other thing you want to talk about, you want to touch on regarding the ministry, youth, sports, wellness, um, mental illness, whatever it is you want to talk about?
So I have a passion when it comes to mental health,
Mhm.
and that's because my mother was diagnosed many years ago with mental health challenges, and so I had to deal with the issue of stigma and discrimination, mostly as an adult, being in public life. And so I want us to be able to work together to eliminate stigma and discrimination as it relates to mental health challenges. Mental health challenges, as I said earlier in the start of the program can happen to anyone. Whether you're rich, you're poor, you're white, you're black, you NNP or you NDC or you GOLP or whatever political or economic status you are, you can have mental health challenges. And therefore, as communities, we have to be able to work with families. We have to be able to provide them with the necessary support so that they can deal with the issue. And so I want to commend the Dika Mitchell administration, our Prime Minister, for prioritizing and appreciating that the issue of mental health need to be brought to the front,
In front.
given priority. And so by having a ministry specially designated, you could leave it under health. And so when you leave it under health, then it means that something will take priority. But putting it for itself speaks to the priority that you gave it as a standalone ministry. And so I appreciate that, whereby we can champion the cause as it relates to mental health, as it relates to wellness across Grenada. So I look forward to more programs, more plans. Last year we started with a bang. We had a number of training for the nurses, as I said, the teachers, police officers, community health nurses, the religious community who sometimes are the first responders, are the first people, first people when you have issues like you feel depressed, so you may go to your pastor and or your elders in your churches. So we provided them with some training. This year, we last year what we did, we also intensify what we call the community outreach, and that gave a lot of benefits. So what we saw was a decrease in the number of people being admitted at Monge because our team was at every parish providing the support to families, providing the medication. And so we saw less people coming in and more people coming at their outpatient clinic looking for the medication. We also looking forward to have start construction of the rehabilitation center, which is an alcohol and drug rehabilitation center, which will be close to the Maribor Hospital. We already demolished the old nurses hostel. We clean up the area. We are in the process of fencing, something that should have happened last year, but it took longer than we expected. And we should see construction happening by the last quarter of this year. But construction may take 2 years, and so we are starting to develop some outpatient clinic where we can provide support to people who are suffering with mental, with drug or alcohol related issues.
If I may add on to this, if you permit me to, mental health is a real thing, and a lot of times we don't see it that way, especially we as West Indian. Because most of us never grew up with our grandparents. That was never an issue. We never see those type of things, or maybe it was there, but we never knew about it. And like as a man, we grew up as men don't cry. That's the concept as we grew up with. But certainly mental health is certainly a real thing. And I would like to say to you, it would be nice to see you make that an initiative in schools.
Yes.
I'm
So we already
certainly it's something. Okay,
Yeah, we
yeah,
already
there you
started
go.
last year.
Yeah,
Last year we started in a few schools, and we'll
yeah,
duplicate in all the schools across our
yeah,
in terms of providing them with that more
yeah,
than training. Just having
yeah.
them being involved and feel free to speak of
Feel
issues
free. Yeah,
that affect them. But long ago too, our parents used to say when they say, "Well, I'm feeling depressed, I feel stressed or whatever," they say, "You're too happy. You can have food to eat.
yeah,
You're close to it."
yeah. That's what I'm saying, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
suddenly grew up with that mindset as our grandparents, where they tell us certain things or they say certain things about somebody. But suddenly, that could also help in schools, that the kids could also identify things at home too. And there's always a 1-800 number or a number that they can call that
Yes.
certainly can help them. They can say, they believe this and they that, because mental health also leads to suicide. It
Yes.
leads to so many different things
That
in the
is
home.
serious.
So that's certainly something that, like I said, I'm jumping the gun. You guys are really doing what you're doing, but certainly it will be good
All
to
right.
see it in the schools. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, so
Thank you very much. And I mean, we look forward to having more, because we started in the secondary school, but we know we have to start at even the primary school level, engage them. And so we
Yeah.
will look at more of that this year in terms of
all right.
engaging our children and having community initiative also. So going at the level of the community and speaking of the issue of mental health.
All right. So Nisha is saying, Minister, say hello to you and continue keeping on. And there's a comment here, a final comment I think I want to just raise with you because it's
Michael, hold on.
something.
Let me respond to Nisha. I wonder why Nisha wants you to tell me hello, and she can't pick up her phone and call me.
Nisha,
I
You let,
know, right?
yeah.
you let me go?
Nisha, the ball is in your
Nisha,
court. Yeah.
yeah,
All right. So let's suppose like I say, anything for the athletes of the private schools, Minister. After all, we contribute to the development of our country through minute it may seem, though minute it may seem. So that's something we have always been debating about the contribution of the private primary schools, or the private schools, I should say, generally, because they are private primary and secondary schools, in terms of their development, especially through sports. I know it's a issue that has been debated in terms of especially when it comes to the national primary school sports. Minister, you have,
Yes. So, yesterday, while we were at, I think it was after the celebration, somebody raised the issue of why the private schools are not partaking. And so my response was that it was a Grenada Union of Teachers event, not a Ministry of Sports or Ministry of Education. It was the union that have the plan this competition aspect. So maybe a discussion can be held, because I know these are all our children, whether they're in the public school or the private school. They are all our children, and maybe should be part and parcel of. But I mean, those discussions must be held based on the nature of the game. But when it comes to the community initiative of our grassroots programs that we're planning, then all of our children can be there. But as it relates to saying whether or not the private school should partake is a discussion that, I mean, and it's not going to hurt if you have the private school competing, children competing, and the best athletes coming forward.
um,
Yeah, so I believe that is not that there's no problem with that. But as I said, the discussion must be held.
okay. Minister, the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers took liberty to announced that Grenada will be hosting the CUT, that's the Caribbean Union of Teachers Games, well, which is track and field, next next year, I think. Yeah, was it?
Yes, so he told me that
Yeah,
yesterday, not yesterday, on Thursday was the first time. So he told me that on Thursday, and he
yeah.
said we'll have more discussions.
Bill
So
discussion,
I
right?
can't speak to it yet because he only raised it with me as a point and said there'll be more discussions. So I look forward to the discussions, because anything that we can collaborate together to bring our athletes together, I mean, and that's a way of exposing them to other with other athletes
Yeah.
to
As a
show the
matter of fact,
community. Yes.
That's where folks like Kirani James and them were actually bust onto the regional scene. That was their first, even before Carifta Games.
Mm-hmm.
Folks like Kirani James and others was through the CUT, the CUT Games. I think Kirani was in St. Lucia. It was when St. Lucia hosted it, I think, or in the Virgin Islands or somewhere. But it's a very important activity for young. So that's where our athletes at the primary school level get the
The exposure.
the exposure. As how our secondary school athletes get the exposure to character, that's how they get that sort of exposure. So it's something I guess as much the ministry and the union and other stakeholders will probably discuss in the coming days.
Yeah, I look
Um,
forward to the discussions and I look forward to the games being in Grenada. It's always it's more than just even our children coming together, but it also have economic spin-off for
Yeah.
people. How we can combine our efforts to ensure that we provide the necessary support. We are amenable to that.
all right. Okay, Minister, I want to thank you very much. It has been, lots of comments, lots of commendation for you, lots of questions, comments, etc. And certainly we will have another time when we will probably come on and discuss and look at some of the accomplishments, I should say, because there's so much things that to be done. Probably in the next few months we can give a review and see what we have accomplished thus far. I know the issue with, as you mentioned, some of the issue regarding the lighting of I think it was long awaited, the cricket stadium. So
Mhm.
certainly it means that we will be in a position. And by the way, no, before I go, I need to put that there because I think it's important for those who haven't seen it to hear what the minister was speaking about in terms of the comments from the CWI. Just give us a couple minutes. Let me just get it on, and we'll come back and talk about it.
Cricket
Okay?
West Indies are pleased with the progress of preparation at Grenada's National Cricket Stadium, which will host a highly anticipated test match between the West Indies and Australia from July 3rd to 7th, 2025. A delegation from CWI met with Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell on Wednesday morning, following which they conducted a tour of the facility with Minister for Sports Honorable Delma Thomas. Chief Executive Officer of Cricket West Indies, Chris Daring, says remedial work undertaken at the stadium is impressive.
Certainly, those are two of the most impressive video boards that I've ever seen anywhere in the world. And so it's a testament to the commitment by the government of Grenada to sport, not just as a cultural and socioeconomic activity, but it's important to also to nation building and national pride. And we certainly hope to see all the Grenadians come out to support the West Indies here during the test match, which will be staged here between July 3rd and 7th. And one of the initiatives we're using this year is to ensure that all children have access to at least come and experience the game. So all children are going to be free to come to cricket this year. It's an initiative of the Cricket West Indies to make sure that all our children have access to this wonderful sport.
Minister for Sports Honorable Delma Thomas says the meeting at the National Stadium was fruitful, having discussed more than just preparations for the match, but also a memorandum of understanding aimed at strengthening cricket infrastructure, grassroots programs, and opportunities for young players in Grenada.
We had more than just that interaction. We also spoke about collaboration with Cricket West Indies, and very soon there will be an MOU for signing where we will be collaborating with Cricket West Indies on many different fronts as it relates to the development of cricket across Grenada, Carriacou and Petite Martinique. My government is committed to the development of sports and cricket across Grenada, and so we are also looking at developing the grassroots sports at the level of the communities, and we are in the process of developing infrastructure, not only at the National Cricket Stadium lighting, but we also will have international lighting at Progress Park in St. Andrew and La Sagesse in St. David, and we'll also have other lighting at other playing facilities as we look to develop cricket and other sports across Grenada. Government is investing millions in sports.
President of Cricket West Indies, Dr. Kishore Shallow, led the delegation to Grenada on Wednesday for a courtesy call to Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell. It marked his first official engagement with Prime Minister Mitchell following his recent unanimous re-election by all shareholder members for a new 3-year term. Following a meeting with the Minister for Sports at the National Stadium, Dr. Shallow expressed hope that a draft of the MOU could be ready soon.
We're going to, through Miles, our director of cricket, he's going to develop a framework where we could help in areas like for like creatorship with the ground staff and so on, and other areas where we could facilitate. PM again is passionate about
The
grassroots and schools cricket and even club cricket as well.
cricket, yeah.
So I suspect in a matter of weeks, knowing how efficient our director of cricket is, we're going to have a draft of a MOU where we could, accelerate that. And it'd be ideal if we could actually have that before the test.
Director of Cricket Miles Bascom says they want to ensure that there is high-quality cricket available to keep people interested in the game.
We have the test match this year. Next year we have 3 one-days, women's matches, Australia again. And then we have other age group tournaments, regional tournaments, some of which we can move around. So we'll definitely, ensure that we share it around so that there is, enough high quality cricket available to keep the interest, that we expect will be generated when those kits, are passed around, and we'll keep that going. So our MOU will cover a lot of what you spoke about, especially, getting persons certified in coaching and in curatorship. So that is certainly one of the areas that we are definitely going to work together in.
You're on mute, Michael.
Yeah, Minister. So a very fruitful and engaging visit by CWI, and certainly we look forward to that MOU that should be forthcoming very soon.
Yes, we look forward to the MOU, and we look forward to not only the cricket match in July, but there are other matches for 2026. I think it's the West Indies female cricket, but we look for more than just that, because if you have a developed stadium like that, where when he saw the boats, he took a picture right away and he sent it to Jamaica, saying he wanted them to be jealous. So he speaks to the class of the standard and all that of the boards that we have and the capabilities of the board. And so we look forward to this is St. George's, as I said. We look forward to duplicating, maybe not the board really, but when it comes to Progress Back, you can be assured that what we'll do will be first class in everything that we do going forward. Will not be just as ordinary, but will be first class, since it's one of the best facility we have in Grenada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's good to know, because I know Mr. Daring himself is well traveled in terms of cricket, and not just in the Caribbean, but he also had little stints in South Africa when South Africa hosted the World Cup and things like that. So he knows about those things. So for him to make that comment regarding the board, and certainly if they have something like that, they will want to use it. So I'm seeing Grenada being on the schedule for those other matches, and it certainly pays off, especially when it comes for even the CPL, for example. We have the CPL as well, and I'm hoping that folks who are clamoring for more cricket and more night cricket in particular, you'll have it. So Toro, you'll have to start, supporting your West Indies team once again, as Nisha would say, Lincoln. You see, the best set of sports ministers, they come from the big parish. That is why they're so successful, right?
Like Nisha like to give Lincoln some trouble, because she always general statements. She always tagging him on.
Yeah. He likes to torment him with West Indies, and most of the folks who Toro seems to always be tormenting folks coming from the big parish, you know. He and Betty Ann is one, and Betty Ann is from the big parish, then he and Nisha, you know, and things like that. So yeah. So,
I hope Toro, however, is keeping fit and all that, and keeping his heart well, because I know come next week, I want to make sure he's well after Thursday.
We gotta check up on him.
yeah, yeah. So, Minister, I guess that was.
Yes, it was really nice being part of that program. I look forward to, you know, more than just a program. I look forward to more engagements, because what we have, I'm speaking to here, we're two, not only sports enthusiasts, but people who have been involved in sports and who, you know, have the expertise in different fields as it relates to sports. So I do look forward to more discussions, maybe not on to the world, but to ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, I'm available for discussions in how we really look, because we are all Grenadians, and what we want is what is best for our country, what is best for our people, what is best for our young people. So whereas where we can discuss and you know, come up with different ideas and putting it into strategic plans as we move forward, I look forward to that.
Yes.
So
Certainly, that was always going to be one of my questions. There is something I wanted to ask you, but not on this program. I was just wondering if it's okay that Bascom give me your information. I can reach out to you and certainly ask that question.
Yes.
So it is a very important question. That's why I wanted to, and this is the right time to do it due to certain situations or what's been happening. So this is the right time to make that suggestion. So that's why I wonder if that's okay.
Take my number from him, and you reach out. I'll add you, and we will be able to discuss as we move forward.
Move forward. Certainly, yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very much, Minister. And as we say, we'll keep in touch, and hopefully, 2 hours of
keeping in touch. Yes.
2 hours of engagement. I appreciate
it was nice talking to you guys.
It was a pleasure. Thank you again, and continue the good job you are doing.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I look forward to the discussion. Apart from the on
apart from here. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Right, take care. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.
Yes. So, Rudian, very engaging with the minister, and
certainly it's it does put us. It does put a different perspective on sports to come in Grenada, and to see that over the years, you know, we always feel the government don't care, or they're not engaged, or they're not this and that. But we're hoping that.
Were you surprised with our answer to your question?
I was. I was surprised, because you know when my discussion with other people was, they didn't like that from her, especially being you know, the politics aspect, being an NDC, they didn't like that, because they figure it could be used. What they told me, it could be used against her. But however, that is the answer that was needed.
No, but not only that. Not only that. You said that you didn't know her.
Yes.
You tried to get.
I did my research. Right. Yeah.
So what I'm telling you, what you got from her in terms of an answer is the is the kind of person she is.
She is. Yes.
Yeah. So she will say as it is.
As it is. They may not like it, but it's what it is.
Not many people will do that. Will want to take the blame for something that they were not.
For something that I'm not to do. Because that was my whole thing. And my concern was, why are you taking the blame for something that certainly not under your tenant? You know, that was my thing about it. It was explained in a manner of professionalism. So that certainly was.
Do you recall when and it's something that you were saying too, when for the 1983 debacle in terms of what happened October 1983.
Yeah.
And there was this thing where they call collective responsibility. Even though you didn't pull the trigger, right? Even though you didn't pull the trigger.
You didn't pull the trigger,
in a leadership position.
So
you have to take the blame. Collective responsibility.
Collective responsibility.
She's actually saying, hey, she came in, she recognized all of this. Probably things should have done differently, whatever it is like that. So, because different people have different ways of doing things.
Different ways of doing things,
On behalf of the ministry, and she is now the minister, she took the responsibility to say, hey, yes, it should have been done better, but we will apologize. We will say, and she's not saying, no, blame this minister, or blame this person, or blame this PS, or blame her. I will take the blame. I will take the responsibility. But going forward, this is what we will do.
And a lot of stuff, like again, Michael, she said that what that really, you know, make me have that real confidence in a real change for sports in Grenada. And certainly, I really hope a lot of athletes or a lot of people in administration, a lot of people in different sporting bodies was on to really hear her speak and to have that feeling that I have that there is some change in sports in Grenada. You know, certainly, one of the things I like when she talk about using those people who was retired, using those former teachers who have done great things. Because Michael, I'm going to say this, Michael, and I did I did say when the opportunity will come and I may talk about it that in the primary schools, the primary school sports that there was a big disappointment with the St. Patrick's team. Big disappointment with the St. Patrick's team, and I say that sometimes when disappointment happens, sometimes we say good for them, but not say good for them because disappointing to the students, you know, those who to work hard and to make opportunity because there are folks who you know who've been there for years who actually won primary school sports in their tenure of being a teacher who volunteered their time. They recently retired and volunteered to help, and they say they want nothing to do with them. They push them aside. And I say that to say that when I hear when she mentioned that they have, when I ask the question, are you going to go with those who have the expertise to bring them back, those who want to volunteer to help move forward because they still have that experience of how to coach or what to do and so forth. So the young folks today could learn from them before they're gone. Because when they leave, they're going to say so many different things of, oh, they leave and they are so good and they're so good, but they never left anything behind because nobody kind of go there with a pen and paper to really take in.
The other thing I have with that is sometimes we try to tag government into a lot of those things.
A lot of things,
and this is kind of unfair. I mean, government sometimes, you know, you have to look at the government's role as enabling. Putting systems in place to enable certain
to
things,
enable some things,
certain things. Not everything they can do because everybody will want government will hire, government will do this, government do that. But sometimes the initiative can be taken by, for example, a school,
a school
organization, and then you can say, hey, here is what we are planning to do. Here is what the assistance that we need, but not just hoping that the government will do this. Because I saw some questions and some comments that came through that refer to government will do this, government will do that.
Government will do this, and it's not everything to government.
It's not everything we can tag government to do. Government has a responsibility, and there are certain things government can do, but there are certain times organizations, schools, etc., can do certain things and then get the assistance of not just government but other stakeholders, whether it's a sponsor, whatever it is like that. So,
And Michael, we have I myself haven't seen it. You probably have in your past, and I'm only talking about Grenada. I'm talking about I've never seen a government who are so engaged and put their time and resource and put in finance where their money is into building a program, building sports in the country. And I've seen it here. We always have an issue here. Being here in Canada, it could be everywhere else. Listen, as big as the United States is, and they see how the good they are and how and the success they have their problems. Oh, they have the issues, right? Australia, England, all those places, they have the issues. You hear about it in Jamaica with the athletics. They have real problem. But to see the government say, yes, we're making a commitment, not only to build in the aspect of sports, but in wellness, in the health of the country, the wellness of the people. So not only athletes, but the wellness of our grandparents, our and so forth. The wellness of them is important to them. That is so big.
But one of the other things we have to give the minister credit to is that not just even before she was minister of sports, even when she was minister in the previous government, the minister has been very involved in wellness. I can recall a time she probably, if ever she missed it, she would have been out of the island when they have this annual, like these fun walks and all these other things. She is front center in those things. So
she was.
Us speaking about it now is nothing compared to what Yeah, so she
It's
has
not
been
new.
front
Yeah,
and center in terms of the wellness and the physical activity. In fact, every now and again, if you look at the minister's page, you'll see her doing gym work, fitness, whatever it is,
yeah.
treadmill, all these sort of things. Yes, right. But certainly, I am certain that we will hear from the minister again in
Yeah,
future,
definitely.
and
Yeah.
we'll have her on the program to come and speak about a couple of those things. A lot of things in the pipeline, and we just give them time. To with that, as Chenny says, we need more politicians like the minister,
Yeah.
genuine and believable. Yeah,
Yeah.
and people may want to put in a politics and things like that. But I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's in terms of hearing what she said, being genuine. Because yeah, she spoke about this, and then we were able to play the clip where the
Yeah.
TWI and Chris Daring and all of them were saying basically the same thing. So it's not just her saying one thing and then they saying the other. She was saying that listen, what we have
Exactly what
is
they're saying.
yeah,
Yeah,
is
what we
exactly
have
what
is
we
what we have. We have something golden because
yeah.
with what we have there, and I was told how good it was before I
Yeah.
even hear this. I
Well,
was
yeah,
told of the magnificent of what we carry can change. Listen, we don't just have. There is something about us, Michael, in Grenada where people want to come. People want to come to Grenada. The friendliness, the what we carry, not only in sport, but what we carry within us. That love and that care we have for people, that friendliness. People want that. That's why people want to come to Grenada. They'll come to Grenada anytime. Any games we have, the support will be there. People will fly from all over to come to Grenada. We just have to continue what we are doing.
yeah.
And
Also,
that's a change now with cricket. You will see cricket now, a big change now, and Grenada will probably start being one of the number one places to start having
well,
cricket.
well, not just cricket, well, and cricket, and then
Yeah,
soon, what I heard about Progress Park, for example. So the folks
yeah.
of St. Andrews, in particular, I think they should be
Thank you, Michael.
very, very proud. And also the folks in St. David's, because we heard that Progress Park and Lassages. So in terms of the lighting, not just the cricket stadium, but Progress Park in St. Andrew and Lassages in St. David will get lighting, and the lighting will be of an international standard. So this is something that I think should be proud of. So then I think probably before the end of the year, probably maybe 80 to 90% of our playing fields in Grenada may be lighted because Canteen is also lighted, Roy St. John playing field. Montrouge is also lighted, and there are a number of playing fields in the outer parishes, St. Patrick's in particular, that are lighted. They are lighted. Those playing fields are lighted. Even the playing field in Monton, is lighted. That playing field is also lighted. So, that is good in terms of the facilities. What we need now is the human capacity, the assistance, continuing to provide that level of assistance and ensuring that folks understand that we need to work together. So for the minister and for Mr. Peters and for that's Colin Peters and Mr. Chenny Joseph and Roger based in Grenada, it's something we'll be working on because we got to go ahead from the minister in terms of that. So we have to continue that conversation for our sports symposium. We need to bring our folks together. We do a lot of talking. We have been doing that for quite a while, but we need to bring our folks together and talk about how we can develop sports. So sports enthusiasts, coaches, sponsors, just name it. We want to bring those folks together to talk about the development of sports in Grenada, how we can do that. It may come, well, I don't like this paper thing because sometimes we do a lot of paper, and then we don't do anything, but we want some action, right? And some of them, again, we'll see some low-hanging fruits that we can work on and things like that. So, but we need to come together, hear from the various people and folks who have been involved, folks who want to be involved, folks who have been on the sidelines for quite a while. We want to hear from you how we can ensure that our young kids the young sportsmen and sportswomen can nurture in a new sporting environment, right? Folks, that's all for this week. Next week, God's willing, we'll be looking probably at post intercall, right? We'll be looking at post intercall. Ah, boy, yes, we'll be looking at post intercall. So you should be ready so that we can get a feel of how intercall was. I know some people are still nervous because you know, hey, it's all well and good for you to say that it's going up the hill, it's going here, it's going there, but on the day in particular, because remember last year, GBSS was as confident as ever. I think
Yep.
every team going in, every school going into intercall is as confident as, right, that we could win the thing, right? We could win it. And, you know,
One thing
it
lead to
went
the
down,
next.
yeah, it went down to the relay. It went down
We
to the
went on
relay,
to the last race. Yeah.
the last race. So
Yeah.
you never know what could happen,
Yeah, you never know.
right?
Yeah, certainly.
Guys can be pulled up with injuries, some of the
Injury.
star
Yeah.
athletes,
Yeah.
whatever it
And
is.
and all of that too. It's listen, and you may just have a bad race.
And things like that
You may
too.
just have a bad
So
race. It may not be anything. You may just be
yeah,
it just not your day. Just not your day.
guys
So
may be tense, in terms
yeah.
of
And
um
some people who never run well will run well. It just
well, yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
things may happen. A
And
lot
then
of you might just see everything
and
happening now.
then and then it's a mind to it
It's a mind
because
thing. Yeah.
a mind thing, you're going in so tense that mentally
Yeah.
you
You
cramp.
just, you cramp up. You messed
Yeah,
up.
you cramp up
Yeah.
mentally,
You messed up. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that coaches who can talk to them, coaches
So
can, can calm
I
them
see
down. Coaches can do all these things.
I see our good folks, Mr. Patrick Simmons, a former sports minister, a former principal, a former athlete. I know he's saying LOL, but I know what he means by that, right? I know what he means by that. You know, certainly he is probably as nervous as this guy for being controlled referee. That is saying congratulations in advance to the university. So next Thursday evening, right? We'll hear a different thing altogether next Thursday evening because we asked the principals last weekend, and the
Who?
principals themselves could not have even say, well, it's my school or this school. They were kind of staying in their lane by saying, my top three schools are 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 in the boys, 1, 2, 3 in the girls. They try to stay clear. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah. But we want to wish the athletes all the best going into Intercall 2025. Incident free as usual. We want the fans to go out and have, and by the way, fans, if you have been following the schedule, I hope you don't disappoint yourself because on every single day there is
There's the
action.
finals.
There's a final,
Yeah.
there's
There's
action.
the finals. Yeah.
Gone are the days when the last day
The
is the day
last days of almost
all
everything.
the
Yeah.
action.
No.
No, you may miss
Yeah. You might
you
miss
may miss
something somewhere. Yeah.
you may miss the 100 meters on
Yeah.
the first day. You never know, right? Yeah. So certainly we want to wish them, and also we want to congratulate all the athletes for a magnificent performance at the primary school track and field meet. I watched it. I enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
saw very competitive. I still trying to get the Richardson, that name. The minister mentioned, and
Yeah.
I trying to remember his first name, but he was
There's a young man, the little 9-year-old from.
no, not nine, not nine. He's not nine. He's a big guy, but I'm certain that he's probably destined for the St. Andrews and the Kent Secondary School side. But he is powerful and he is good talent, right? It was so exciting to see him because he took that baton. I'm just looking at the relay for one, and
Oh,
he
the
took
young
that
man from the. I know who it is. Yeah. I know who you're
he
talking
took
about
that
now.
baton,
Yeah.
probably maybe fourth or fifth,
Yeah.
and he won. He won.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember his name, but he is exceptional talent, and I want to
Yeah.
say congratulations to him. And in fact, I think the minister said he attends St. Mary's, um, St. Mary's, blah blah blah. I'm trying to remember. Yeah. St. Mary's School, St. Mary's School in her constituency, but represented St. Andrew and did well. But outside of that, all the athletes performed well. And it was good to see that all the parishes, they got some points, right?
Yeah.
They got points on the table. That was good. Even though it was a runaway for St. Andrews, probably with,
After they won, yeah,
well,
certainly, yeah,
it was a
yeah.
runaway.
It's one of
And then what was interesting too is that three parishes were actually fighting for the second spot at one point in
after
time.
they won at one point, yeah,
St.
yeah,
Patrick's,
St. Patrick's and
St. George,
St. George's, and yeah,
and St. David, right?
and St. David's, yeah,
I think it was the relays that,
that messed it up, yeah.
that messed up for them. Some did well, some,
Yeah, St. Patrick was leading the second up until I think the relays, and then everything just went downhill from there.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it was very
Well,
competitive.
I mean, they was in second of those three teams, all the schools.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Rudy, and thank you very
It's
much,
always a
Paul.
pleasure. It was certainly a good, like I said, it was an open eye for us today to know that the government stand on sports, things we've been talking about, and certainly, let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
let's see.
appreciate the candid conversation. I mean, it was not so much an interview; it was a discussion, and quite a bit from the minister, right?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Rudian.
No problem. Have a good one.
All right, thank you. All right, so that's Rudian Silva and co-host in Toronto. Prior to that, we had Minister of Youth and Sports, also Honorable Delma Thomas. She spoke about wellness and mental health and all of that, which, she's also minister of, and certainly lots of information from the minister. I do appreciate, folks, your questions, your concerns, your issues that were raised, and certainly I think the minister got a handful, and we'll be looking at some of them. So until next week, God's willing, do have yourself a pleasant week, and look forward to your company once again. Okay? And for those of you who are going out to Intercall 2025, do enjoy yourself and look forward to a competitive 3 days of track and field at the Kirani James